welcome to this week's hashtag Toe-to-Toe. I'm delighted to say we're joined by Andy Clarke, as usual, and a very special guest from over the States, Devin Haney. Really good to see you, fresh from your impressive stoppage win over Zor Abdullayev. How are you feeling? When did you get here?
I just got here yesterday. I'm happy to be here. This is my second time here in the UK, so it feels good to be back. I'm grown this time, so it's a lot better.
How long are you over here for?
Until Sunday, so almost a week.
Oh, almost a week. There's a lot you can get crammed into over here. I just said there, the impressive stoppage win for you the other week. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling
Talk us
great.
through the fight.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Going into the fight, I had a hard training camp. I was prepared for whatever Abdullayev had, to whatever he brought to the table. I went in there. I was just really, honestly, just starting to warm up. But right when I was starting to warm up, the fight ended. He had a broken orbital bone, and yeah.
He didn't seem to get out of sort of second gear. It seemed quite easy.
Yeah.
For Devin
Yeah,
Haney.
it was an impressive performance again, because I know that the people who back Abdullayev, I know somebody who was close to making the deal for that fight, and he's got the T2T in Russia behind him, which is a Russian copper company who are worth billions of dollars, and they fancied him. They believe in him.
Yeah,
and they
that's
thought
what
he could.
yeah.
They thought he could beat you.
Yeah.
And I commentated on the fight, and I think he was just a little bit shocked, maybe, at how hard you hit, because that's serious damage. I mean, did you have any idea that he was in that much trouble? Because when he went back to the corner in between rounds, I was quite surprised when he didn't come back out.
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't think that the fight would be over. I didn't know that the punch did that or anything like that. I thought that, I was ready to come out for the next round and, to start picking it up more and more and more. But right when it happened, the fight was over.
Well, you've made no secret, have you? The man who you want is Lomachenko. We all know about that. Lots of tweets coming in for you. Let's get into this one. It makes sense. Jake Murphy says, Lomachenko has fought technical boxers, big punchers, tall fighters, short fighters. What does Devin Haney, what do you bring that he hasn't seen before?
I bring, ring generalship, speed, power, a jab. I feel like a lot of the fighters that he fought, except for Luke Campbell, haven't had a jab. Luke Campbell showed success by just using his jab, and I feel like I'm much faster, I'm much smarter, much more. I'm just an overall better fighter than Luke Campbell. So, and Luke Campbell gave him some problems. So I just feel like I'm on a whole nother level, and I have youth on my side.
Are you fully confident you win that fight?
Fully confident. I'm willing to fight, take the fight tomorrow if the fight was offered.
I mean, that's a big statement.
Yeah,
Superstar, Vasily Lomachenko. We saw him firsthand a couple of weeks ago. I mean, just how impressive he is.
Yeah, it is. But I like it. I like that. After the fight, calling him Lomachenko and all the rest of it, that's great, because when you've got a fighter as good as him, you don't want everybody just tiptoeing around in awe. You want people who think they can beat him. It's interesting you pick out the jab, because when people think about fighters like him, they almost convince themselves sometimes to think that I need to think of some new boxing tactic that no one has ever tried before.
Plan,
Exactly, but it's good basics that's going to beat a good fighter.
And I feel like that's what it goes back to, like you said, just taking it back to the basics. And I feel like my speed, my ring generalship, my ring IQ would be too much.
You mentioned Luke Campbell there. Tom wants to know, are you going to come to the fight in the UK? Fancy Luke Campbell at the O2?
Say it again?
Would you come to the UK to fight?
Oh yeah,
Luke Campbell at the O2, would you fancy
that's
that?
actually what I was just talking to Eddie Hearn Hearn about 2020 coming to fight Luke Campbell here in the UK. I think it'll be a massive fight. I think the fans are really interested in that fight. They're demanding that fight, and hopefully we can make it happen in 2020.
When you watched, I'm assuming you did watch the Lomachenko Campbell fight, what did you learn from that?
As far as on Campbell's side, to be honest, I really wasn't watching Luke Campbell looking at that fight. I was really more focused on Lomachenko and what the mistakes that he was making. I really wasn't too sure. I would have to go back and look at it to see really what Luke Campbell mistakes or what he really did. I felt like he used his jab. He pretty much was just using basics. He used his jab. He used some movement. Pretty much it. He threw some good body shots, but that was it.
Haney Campbell, Andy. Is that a fight you'd like to see?
100%. We had him in a few weeks ago, just after the fight actually, and he said that he'd welcome that fight because you're mandatory for the WBC, which is Lomachenko at the moment, obviously. But as we understand it, he'll get the winner of Commey Lopez, and they'll fight for undisputed. Maybe that would be April, May time, maybe more like June, and everybody else will have to wait. And where you are in your career, with the greatest of respect to Antonio Moran and Zura Abdullayev, they weren't on your level. So there's no point fighting any more of them. You've got to tempt someone in who's going to keep you moving upwards.
I think Luke Campbell would be, you know, a beautiful name to have on my resume.
That's one way of putting it, isn't it? Zach Morgan, will you ever fight Ryan Garcia again? What was the score in the amateurs, he wants to know?
The score was 3-3 in the amateurs, and of course, that was another fight me and Eddie was just talking about, you know, making the fight with me and Ryan Garcia. Hopefully we can make that fight soon. That's a great fight. I feel like I'm on a whole total different level than Ryan Garcia, but the people are demanding that fight now, and hopefully we can make that fight happen. I think that'd be a massive fight as well.
So it looks like Devin's going to be a busy man. We've mentioned Garcia, we've mentioned Campbell, even Lomachenko.
The 135-pound division is stacked. It's a lot of good fights. It's a lot of good fights, and I was talking about moving up to 140, but it's looking like I'm going to have to stay at 135 because it's so many great fights that can happen.
Okay, well, on the Gervonta Davis, if, say, he did move up, James wants to know, what tactics would you use against him?
Against who?
Gervonta Davis, if he stepped up.
Well, me and Gervonta Davis, we have history together. We sparred, you know, a few times, so I'm familiar with him, and that's a 135-pound fight that's very possible to make. So I don't want to put out any, you know.
That's the thing, you sparred with him. So what weaknesses did you see?
He's a good fighter. I can say he's a good fighter. I don't want to, you know, badmouth him because he's also a friend of mine, and I think that that fight will happen soon, and we'll see what happens.
What do you reckon?
No,
he's keeping his cards close, Jesse. Unsurprisingly.
That's fair enough. But he's right. There's loads of good fights at 135, and that's another one. And as I understand it, he has moved up because he's gone into #1 in the rankings with the WBA. And the word is that he'll fight Yuriorkis Gamboa, who's at #2. Maybe that could be a final eliminator, and then he would also be mandatory, same as you. But when you have not that many champions sharing the 4 belts, and then potentially you have one, and who would know what that one person, certainly were it to be Lomachenko, would then do. Everybody else, like I say, has got to find other big fights, and I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that fight.
And that's why I want to fight Lomachenko. I don't want to fight him because I have a problem with him, or I don't like him, or I'm just picking at him or anything like that. I'm picking him because he has the belt, and that's the fight. That's the fight that makes sense. You know, I don't want to do any more fights that really don't make sense. You know, I want the belts. I'm in the 135-pound division to be a world champion, and before I move up to 140. I want to become world champion at 135. What
do you think you've got that other fighters that have tried to beat Lomachenko, what do you think you've got that they haven't?
I mean, like I said before, you know, what fighters could we really say? He had some names. He fought Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux was coming up in weight. When he came up 2 weight classes, he fought Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell, he looked good. No, Luke Campbell was a good fight because he was bigger and it was a fight that made sense. But he went in there and he lost rounds. He fought Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares dropped him. I just feel like every guy that he beat, I could beat too. You know, it's no guys on there that I feel like I couldn't beat.
All right, okay. Andy, I know this is going to be one for you in a minute. You've got a strong opinion on this. Paul says you could be on the KSI Logan bill. Is it insulting to be on that undercard? What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, that card is good for boxing because it just brings a whole different crowd, you know, to the sport of boxing. It brings a lot of new fans to the sport of boxing and to Devin Haney, especially, you know, the younger crowd. KSI and Logan Paul have, like, the younger generation. And I'm young myself, so I feel like, you know, I can, you know, get a lot of new fans by doing that card.
We've actually just been having a conversation, haven't we, about the whole YouTube generation and the social media and how, you know, that's where it's at right now. That's where all the younger guys are. The
new millennials, definitely. It's the new thing, and it's in right now. And I feel like we can't always be stuck in like the past, and you know we got to be able to elevate and you know bring on new things, and it's the new thing right now.
What do you think, Andy? Devin's obviously embracing it all. Are you of the same opinion, or do you think it is a little bit insulting?
Firstly, I accept everything you said there about you have to embrace a new generation, and that's how life is for the likes of you and Ryan Garcia. And I do find it a bit puzzling when people criticise someone like Garcia and saying, "Oh, you're only been signed by Golden Boy because you've got this many Instagram followers," which is ridiculous. But that's
honestly,
how you have to build your career now.
That's where it's all at now.
And honestly,
that's part of it.
He didn't have those followers until he signed with Golden Boy. Golden Boy helped him get those followers. They helped build him. If anything, no, I don't agree with that.
That side of it is important. My problem with it is not these two fighting each other, not these two being on TV. They can fight each other every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I just don't think that they should be described or be allowed to turn professional because they're not professional standard and they're not professional fighters. That's my only problem with it. They shouldn't be afforded that status because they haven't earned it.
You don't feel like they've earned it, yeah?
No, of course they haven't. They've done nothing to earn it.
But can't anyone turn professional?
Well, here, I don't know how it works with the commissions in America, but here you would get assessed by the Board of Control and you would have to, they would ideally prefer you to have an amateur background. So if you turn pro here, they would have just given you a license straight away because they've been able to watch you online and they'd have known your background.
I think it's kind of the same in
I mean, there are fighters who turn pro without any amateur background. Cello Render's one I know, you won't recognise the name, but he had no amateur background, but he had been in a boxing gym, so they went and they watched him work in the gym, sent an old champion to watch him work, and they passed him. But I'm not.
Devin.
That's my only issue with it is that I don't think they should be. They're not professional fighters, as far as I'm concerned.
We've only got a couple.
I can agree with that.
You can go and have a snooze in a minute. You're 20 years old, full of confidence, calling out likes of Lomachenko, but do you feel a little bit of pressure? I want to know because Joe says, how does it feel to be constantly called the next Mayweather? Do you feel like that brings a bit of pressure? Or are you enjoying that kind of?
I'm definitely grateful for that. He's a living legend. He's one of the if he's maybe he's the biggest in the sport of boxing. So, of course, I'm thankful for that. I'm going my own path. I want to be known as I want to be the first Devin Haney. I don't want to but I'm thankful for that, and I don't feel like it's no pressure because I remember when no one believed in me, no one would talk about me, and I would say, damn, why is no one talking about me? Why is no one doing this? And now that the time come, I can't say that it's pressure because this is something that I've always wanted.
You've got a lot of strings to your bow. I mean, you're promoting now and involved in a lot of things, the music side and everything. What is the priority for you?
Of course, me becoming world champion, and continuing that, I want my name to be mentioned in the history books. I want my name to be mentioned with, the greats. So, of course, that's the main thing, is to keep winning, become world champion, become multi-division world champion, and, keep climbing, the ranks.
Sully says, how do you react when people say you are too flashy and throw money around? What do you say to that?
I really don't hear that often.
Obviously.
I don't really hear that often, but that's not the case. I'm definitely a very gracious person. I give back to the community. I give back to a lot of people. So they say that, then that's their opinion, but it's not the case.
Could you not say someone like Devin is like a breath of fresh air, really, for the sport? It's good to have different characters, different personalities.
Definitely.
Yeah, you have to have that, and and things change. And we've just been talking about social media and the tool that is to promote yourself and get your message out there. And sometimes the criticism of that will come from people who are 20, 25 years older than you, my age, and everybody needs to update. They need to move. They need to move with the times, and all of that it's so useful. It's so important for boxers to be able to get their message out there and lift their profile like that. And anyone who doesn't use it is an idiot, really.
And one thing about me I can say is that I'm not trying to be anybody. I don't want to be Floyd. I don't want to be Tyson. I don't want to be anybody. I'm just being Devin Haney, and that's it.
That's all you can do.
That's all I can do. You know, some people they come and they want to act like Floyd and they want to take the Floyd role, or they want to be Tyson, or they want to be Ali or anything like that. You know, right? I'm just being me, and that's all.
Just one quick one on Floyd. It's interesting. You say they want to be like him, but how crucial was it to see him work at close quarters when you were young? Because people I know who've been to that gym, who've been allowed to stay and watch him train, and that's not that many people, because he keeps it very tight. But Jim McDonnell, who's good friends with Cornelius Bozer-Edwards, Jim's a top trainer here, he took James DeGale over, and he said that once DeGale had seen what Mayweather does in the gym and how hard he works, he said from that day on he could tell him to do anything and he would do it, because he knew that was the standard. That
is definitely the truth. You know, Floyd works like no other, and that's why he's had so much influence on my career as far as that, because seeing him work is unbelievable, and especially with how much that he has accomplished, and to still see him work. Him at the end of his career, he worked like 5 years before. You know, he always kept up the same pace. He never slowed down. It's just crazy. I'm grateful to be able to see that and be around it. You know, I've seen him spar. I've seen him train. You know, numerous times. So
that's how you be like Floyd, isn't it? That's how you get to it. You've got to do that. You've got to do that.
Definitely. You follow his work ethic for sure.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
You'll be joining us as well on the podcast, as will you, Andy, which don't forget you can download on iTunes later today. See you next week.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.